We're going to look at five little expressionist theories. I like to sort of bring these out just to kind of show you how some things have changed and some ideas that are out there in terms of expression. Yeah. So let's look at this idea of romanticism. We brought that up a little bit when we said that suddenly we were paying attention and using the word emotion for all emotions. That is a fascination, and that is an interesting phenomenon that occurred. And it occurred at about the time of Romanticism. So this is William Wordsworth, romantic poet. I encourage you, go read. Sometimes if someone drops a name, go read some of his poetry. It's pretty easy for us to just Google it and say, what was a William Wordsworth poem like? So he was a romantic poet, but this is what he said, and I always like to put this on the test, is William Wordsworth said that art was about the spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. Now, that if you think about why did so many of you put emotion on your list of characteristics for art, emotion and expression? Well, those roots go all the way back to romanticism and this idea that the emotion is the thing that matters. Now, many of you who like ballet know that we went through a romantic period of the romantic ballets where suddenly the emotions mattered and it changed the form of ballet. It changed even the skirt of ballet. It changed what we were trying to do with a ballet. So anyways, wonderful. And if we look back to Romanticism, these ideas of getting powerful emotions out, that's where we get the idea that an artist is this passionate person that feels things and wants to express them. Yeah, so it's quite fantastic to think about all of that. Now, Romanticism really developed as a response to industrialization. So as we started to get more machines that were controlling our lives, steam engines, sewing machines, factories, the artist said, let's not forget this deep part of ourselves, this emotional part of ourselves. So we still resonate with that today when we say art is important. And it brings us back to those human attributes. So I quite like to think about that in those terms. This is Leo Tolstoy. So Tolstoy was he was an author of famous books like novels, A War and Peace, Anna Karenina. In 1897, he wrote a wonderful book called What is Art? I encourage you, go read it. And this is a fantastic thing he said. He said, art is a human activity consisting in this: one man consciously, by means of external signs, hands to others feelings he's lived through, and that other person is infected by these feelings and also experiences them. Okay, this is a great thing for us to put our heads around, because if I go back to the Seth Vanderbilt sculpture here, let me use this one. It's a little bigger, so you can kind of see the expression perhaps a little bit clearer on this. Now, what's fascinating about this? By means of external signs, this metal, these forms are an external sign. And what Seth Vanderbilt has done, he's brought them together, he's handed them to somebody else, me, you, to look at them. And through seeing these expressions, these feelings, you're able to feel them also, and you're able to experience them. Okay, that's, I think, unbelievable. That's a very human thing. No other living creature on this planet tends to do that with these uses of external signs. So that's quite quite amazing to have done that. Yeah. Now, one other quote. Let's look at this. This is really another one of those fantastic things that I found in his book, What is Art? It gives a really fantastic window into a fantastic idea about what art can do. And this is something that I think when someone says, I want to be an artist, this is one of those things they want to be able to do with it. The recipient of a truly artistic impression is so united to the artist that he feels as if the work were his own and not somebody else's. And what the work expresses were just what he had long been wanting to express. A real work of art destroys in the consciousness of the recipient the separation between himself and the artist. And not that alone, but also between himself and all whose minds receive the work of art. Okay, now what I love about this is that idea that a work of art destroys the separation between you and me. That this work, suddenly with it, I get to Seth Vanderbilt. This becomes a vehicle where I can get into the emotional realm of what he experiences about being human. That we see that in that moment, that it destroys the distance. When people say art brings us together as humans, that's what it does. And it, Tolstoy was saying this in 1897 and 8. Amazing to me. And this idea that we're so united with this, it is as if when I see this item is what I have always and been longing to express and to do. The other person has done something that it makes it feel like it's mine. Now, that's a fascination too, because if you think about a Martha Graham dance, a Hawkins dance, that we see someone even dance it and we say, I've wanted to express that. That is me expressing those moments. So that's quite wonderful. And I love that idea of destroying, bringing us together and destroying the distances between us. Yeah, I encourage you as artists, go out there and destroy the distances between others and express in that way. This is Benedetto Croce. I'm not going to say too much about his theories, but I want to mention him as a kind of theory and theorist out there because he was an Italian aesthetician. And when you dive down the rabbit hole of expression, you're going to read elements of Croce. He said that works of art were systems of expression, and the keys to understand this are right here in it. I like that idea that I don't need something else to understand this. Everything I need to know is right here. And we often like that, like I don't need a primer, I don't need anything else. I just need myself as a human to be able to find this. So Benedetto Croce, yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Then let's skip to a final one here. I want to talk about Suzanne Langer. And again, I told you she was my favorite, so we'll dive into the ideas. But before I talk about Langer, let me mention Van Gogh. So I like Van Gogh. You know, if I could have if I could have any painting I wanted in the world, I probably would want a Van Gogh, just because they're kind of miraculous and so expressive in their gestures and their forms and their flow. Van Gogh his letters, he wrote a series of letters to his brother. I encourage you as artists, read Van Gogh's letters. And one of the things he said at one moment about a painting, he said, I hope that it has feeling. And he meant the painting has feeling. And what I think is miraculous about that idea is that he didn't say, I hope that I can put feeling into it. He didn't say, I hope that someone can see it and feel what I feel. He said, I hope that it has feeling. The painting itself has feeling. Now, what Suzanne Langer, this was the idea for her. What she said is when art forms, when these are successful, what the artist does is he or she creates form, and the form houses feeling. This becomes a container that we can pour emotion and feeling into. She would say that a brushstroke, each stroke is like a tiny container of feeling, and they all add together to make a symphony of feeling. That's a wonderful way to think about a dance, a play, any work of art. Yeah, that this is a symphony of feeling that we are diving into. Artists develop forms that house and fuse feelings into the world of art. And she says these aren't the actual feelings, but they're the forms of these feelings. They're imagined feeling, not real emotional conditions. Let's take that apart for a moment because it's important. Yeah. So when she says they're not the actual feelings, they're the form of feeling. What does that mean? Yeah. So if we, I want to show you a couple images here. This was a fascination to me because a while ago, several years, I went to Paris for spring break. You know, great trip. Jumped on a plane, went to Paris. I just spent about a week in every museum, at performances, just soaking in the art of Paris, plus the great food of Paris and the pastries and just everything about it, the sights. Yeah. Now, one of the places I went was the Rodin Museum. So there's sculptures in bronze. Yeah. So here are two sculptures I saw at the Rodin Museum. Now, fascinating. When I came back, I then photographed the dance concert. And when I photographed the dance concert, here are two pictures that I took. I took this picture, and then I took this picture. Now, what is amazing about this to me is these dancers and the choreographer who made these dances, they weren't thinking Rodin. They weren't thinking, oh, yeah, this is like that sculpture in Paris. They were just finding a way to capture human emotions and human feeling in the dance. Yeah. So if you think about also, what do these express? And someone could say there's a closedness that this figure here expresses. You know, it might be a moment of conflict, a moment of thinking about what is it all about. And this other feeling might be a moment of joy, of ecstasy, of, you know, just explosion in this moment also. Now, was the dancer feeling that at that moment? Yeah. I would probably say probably some, but if a dancer is, or if an actor is playing the part of Hamlet, what they're capturing in all of that conflict of everything that Hamlet, the character, is going through, they're showing you the forms of that feeling. Yeah. So this dancer might not be experiencing the most joyous moment in their life, but they're showing you the form of joy, of explosion, of ecstasy. That is kind of amazing to me because a lot of art, particularly the performance arts, are capturing these ideas of form, that what we are doing, as Langer says, that the artist is developing forms that house feeling. Yeah, that's quite lovely. Yeah. Here's a quote by her. She says, "An artist then expresses feeling, not in the way that a politician blows off steam or a baby laughs and cries." Yeah, those are real emotions that are happening where someone gets angry and they just get crazy with what they're saying, you know. But instead of that, she says what they're doing is they're expressing feeling. They're formulating the elusive aspect of reality that's commonly taken to be amorphous and chaotic. So Langer is saying that emotions are rather amorphous and chaotic. We can live in a world, now we granted, we're actually pretty good when we're in public, like we can't have a temper tantrum when someone jumps in front of us in line. We just usually kind of deal with it. You know, it's one of the reasons people don't like things like road rage. It's like, oh, just, you know, relax. You know, it's not the end of the world. I have a friend that says, you know, nobody died. So I think we can get through this kinds of things. So anyways, that's kind of great. But so what she says, what artists are doing though, is they're taking the amorphous world of all of these emotions and they're finding ways to subjectively create a form that houses this and makes us understand that moment. Yeah. And what she says, they're not actual feelings, but they're a metaphor. And it's a metaphor which is a non-discursive symbol that articulates the very ineffable logic of consciousness itself. Okay, those are a lot of words, and it's what's fantastic about that is that the artist is able to make us understand the chaotic world in a really clear way. It's cathartic in a way, so Aristotle would say that's safe. This is very safe for us to feel, what does this character feel like? But it's the form, and the form houses that feeling. Yeah, and again, not actual feeling, but the form of the feeling. Yeah. So in a dance, you can perform a really angry, tortured dance, but you don't feel tortured at that time. And probably if you felt that tortured, you couldn't do that dance. In the same way, if all of the things happened to the actor that happened to Hamlet, he wouldn't be able to do the play. He would be in a really upset place. So usually we enjoy performing, and even if the dance is gritty and raw and touches on the parts of the human condition that are difficult for us, we tend to, as artists, enjoy being in that place and looking at it. Yeah. So anyways, these are some ideas that are out there about expression, and they're fantastic to think